Hello there and welcome to today's live lesson. So this is our topic lesson. We're doing a bit of understanding the world for this, which is, we're going to kind of theme this around actually doing some science at home as well. Okay, I've had to set up an extra camera for this, which is actually my phone, as you can see behind me here. And this is going to allow us to do, or to actually show you some of what we're going to be doing for this experiment. Now, it also explains why I'm sitting at a bit of a funny angle. Anyway, what I'm going to do, just going to bring up our main bit here so you can see understanding the world topic, floating fruit. Okay, you might think, okay, what's going on here? But there are some key things here. So your task is going to be to follow the instructions carefully and make observations, which basically means looking really carefully at what's happening with the experiment. And if I just click on here and here again, your learning objective for this session is to follow the instructions carefully and to make observations. Basically, look at what is happening with this. So on our main sheet here, you can see that we have got some basic bits here. So you will need a tall clear glass, a clear fizzy drink, and I've just put in brackets here lemonade. It does need to be really quite fizzy for this to work, so if you've got like a bottle that's been sitting around for a while or anything like that, it's probably not the best one to use. And some raisins for the first bit of the experiment. Okay, so I'm just going to bring this back to you, or back up here for you, so you can see what we're going to do is we're going to pour the fizzy drink into the glass. We're going to drop in a raisin, wait for 20 to 30 seconds and watch what is happening carefully. Now you will notice on this side of the page here we have got a whole load of blurb here, and this is for you to read in a little bit more depth, or maybe actually get an adult to read this to you, because some of it is a little bit sort of complicated and what have you. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to switch to the camera that is behind me, and you can see now that you're looking at this. You're basically looking at what I get to see as well. So first thing on the list was a tall, clear glass, and you can see that I've got this one here, which is a nice tall glass. And that's one which I would normally have my coffee in. But so it needs to be see-through. It needs to be quite tall so that you get a proper effect of this one here. The next one is a clear fizzy liquid. Now, it doesn't need to be an expensive one or anything else like that. You can see here we've got an own brand sparkling lemonade. So sparkling basically means it's going to have bubbles in it. And the bubbles are going to actually have a little think. What do you think the bubbles are? What gas is it that is trapped inside this drink? And then the other thing that we need are some raisins. So what I'm going to do, you only put one in at a time, but if you have a little look at it, and you can sort of see there's a nice little raisin there, nice and crinkly, and maybe to take it a little bit deeper, why, what do you think is good about it? Most things, the buttons will, the bubbles, will go on the outside of, but what is it that means that the crinkly fruit is going to be good? Now you can see this is a brand new bottle. It really does not want to open. I'm really hoping that I do not. There we go. Get this all over. Now you can see the bubbles are coming up. Having to be a little bit careful here. And what I'm now going to do, I'm just going to move my keyboard out of the way because that would be an expensive mistake. And I'm going to pour the fizzy drink into the cup. And you can see there is plenty of fizz on here. You don't need to waste this afterwards. Obviously this is a diet one, so it hasn't got very much sugar in it. I'm just going to take the bottle, I'm going to put it to one side so it's out the way. And I'm going to move the glass back in for you to the centre of the frame. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly just zoom in a little bit on this, hopefully. So let's see. And I'm going to have to readjust the camera slightly so you can see. There we go. A little bit closer on it. So, if we go back to our instructions, what it's saying here is to pour the fizzy drink into the glass. That's the number one, so we've done that. Number two is drop in the raisin. So we dropped in a raisin, wait 20, 30 seconds, and you can actually start to see it doing the first part of the experiment already. So what it's done is it's gone from the bottom to the top of the glass. Now, just because I've done this for you, it doesn't mean that you shouldn't have a go yourself as well. What I would really like you to be able to do is have a little look at, what you think is happening here. Why do you think this is happening? What happens to the raisin eventually with this? Where do you think it's going to go? So have a little look at that. And then you can see there is a little bit of an extension at the bottom of this, which is why not try some other fruits as well? What happens with a bigger fruit? What happens if you use a grape? Because obviously a grape's a little bit heavier. So there are all of these different things that you can actually have a look at. So I'm just going to quickly bring this other section up here again for you. So most of you, it's going to be like actually looking at the experiment, doing the experiment, and then just making observations for yourself, and the fact that you're able to do that. Now, for some of you, you will notice you've got this extra page here. Now, this one is where I want you to really get a little bit more in depth. So, what fruit have you chosen? Okay, and you can see at the top here, it says, now try to experiment with another fruit. What do you think is going to happen? Okay, and this is your hypothesis. Okay, your hypothesis is you've done the experiment once here, you're trying something else, maybe it's a little bit heavier, maybe it's a bit lighter, you've seen what happens once. So using your knowledge of what you already know, using your knowledge of your experience of what has happened before, what do you think will happen again? So it's like a really good guess. You're not just making things up from nowhere, but you're actually having a really good guess. What are your observations? Okay, and what was your conclusion from this? Now remember, if we go back just a stage, there is some additional information here. Okay, I'm not expecting you to necessarily be able to read all of this. You can actually get someone else to read it to you. Maybe even see if you can look up some information on this experiment. To find out, on an educational video, what's actually happening, what's going on there. And then lastly for you, we have some of you where we've got the communicate and print version, which will help you out with this as well. So you're carrying out the same experiment, but you haven't got that additional work to do. And remember, with all of this, if you can follow these instructions, so you start at number 1, you then go to number 2, number 3, then number 4, and then the extra bit on the right hand side, this little bit here, which contains a little bit of information about what is happening and why it's happening, will be there, for you to sort of have an adult or a grown-up read to you. So anyway, I'm going to, just before it goes away, because there's something new that's happening to the raisin here, but I've deliberately taken the camera away from it so you can't see what it is, and you're going to have to actually do this experiment yourself to find out what it is that happens eventually with the raisin. Okay, cool, give it a go. Maybe, you can experiment. What happens if you do it with more than one raisin? If you haven't got a raisin in the house, start off with a different fruit to start off with, and then you can still do it with 2 different fruits. It's just, and obviously as long as they can fit in the top of the glass as well. Cool. Anyway, guys, so hope you enjoy doing this one here. Let us know how it goes on. Remember, we have got the feedback drop-in sessions over Zoom coming up. So parents and carers would have received an email with a link that you can join us on. Tell us how you got on with this experiment. It would be really, really good to actually be able to hear from you how you got on with this. Maybe you could show us, maybe you can show us your diagram. Remember, any work, drop it into your folders. You can take pictures of it, you can email it back to us. There's all sorts of things you can do for ways of getting your work back to us, because we'd love to be able to see some of it, and we would really love to be able to sort of let you know sort of like how you're doing and stuff like that as well. Cool, excellent, guys, well done, and I will see you later on.